Hello there, fellow Deadites. This is Mr. RubberWorks speaking. Welcome to my YouTube channel where I'll be showing a backstage pass to see what goes on into creating the Book of the Dead. Please stay tuned towards the very end for a sneak peek of my next project. I'll promise it's gonna be a wild one. First and foremost, I begin by sketching my idea onto two pieces of paper, each measuring 8 by 11 inches. To guide my sketch, I use standard printing paper. I don't feel the need to get overly detailed during this initial sketching phase. Personally, I find that I work best when I allow my imagination to roam freely, without being too constrained by a rigid blueprint. The key is to create your own world and let your imagination flow without any strict rules. Of course, I do keep in mind the central idea that anchors this work, but simultaneously I strive to find a way to infuse my own unique touch into it. And as for the clay material, I prefer to use Sculpey Professional, the type that remains pliable until baked. It's important not to bake your sculpture in this case, as we're aiming to create a negative form from the positive sculpture, which we'll explore further shortly. Once again, while I'm sculpting, I intentionally embrace a rough and imperfect appearance. My focus isn't on achieving a flawless end product anyway, but rather on crafting something that highlights the beauty of imperfections, if you will. So guys, listen, if you feel the need to take a break while sculpting, don't hesitate to do so. I took several breaks myself while working on this piece. You can grab a cup of coffee, stretch, read books, do whatever it takes for you to recharge and come back to it refreshed. Taking breaks can make a significant difference in your creative process, trust me. By this point in time, I had already invested about 1 hour into the project and had completed roughly half of the front cover of the book. As you can see, imperfections abound in the work at this stage. Later on, these imperfections will be touched up and refined, but once again, I'm comfortable with it, not obsessing over perfection. Otherwise, I might never complete my work. There's a particular quote that I like to keep in mind whenever I embark on a project, and it has a way of motivating me to see it through. It goes like this. The work is never finished, it's abandoned. While I'm not entirely certain, it's often attributed to, I believe, Leonardo da Vinci. Regardless of its origin, it's a powerful reminder to resist the temptation to keep going back and endlessly tinkering with your work, only to realize that you've spent the whole damn day without actually finishing anything. So, well, it's a piece of advice. Just want to share that. I'm likely in my 4th hour by now, and I must confess that this is one of my favorite aspects of sculpting. Witnessing your work nearing completion, adding intricate details and allowing your imagination just flowing freely. It's incredibly liberating. You can see in this work, you'll notice some warts and probably even my fingerprints. But I don't care. I really don't care at this point. I know that when I pour latex on it, it's just not going to be obvious. Now what you're seeing right here is that I constructed boards around it and ready to pour the plaster to make the negative. So the negative is the actual structure where you want to pour your latex on. And this was pretty much done within 5 hours. And this is that negative I was telling you about. And that thing I was trying to remove, those were just the residue of the sculpey clay material. As you can see, it's already devastated, destroyed, and I don't know. You don't really want to save this anymore. It's just too wrecked. But this is what you need. This is that negative. You want to prepare that now to pour the latex, and well, with this, what I was applying was the petroleum jelly, just to help with latex later on, so it don't stick too much onto the surface of the plaster. And then now it's time to paint the latex that we prepare. So as you probably noticed, there are some white residue on the latex, and that's because the plaster leaves that white dye on the surface of the black latex, and you shouldn't worry too much about that. It's fine. It's totally fine. So with my combination, as far as the ratio of the paint, I use 20% acrylic and 80% pure rubber cement. Let me reiterate that. You want to be 80% pure rubber cement, or it's not going to stick to the latex, trust me. And you really want to get into the crevices of your sculpture, and this is the semi-finished product of it. As you can see, it, having the definition of your sculpture helps out a lot. And basically all you're doing as far as the painting goes is bringing the highlights up. And now we can move on to another exciting aspect of creating this book, which is aging the paper. To add scents to our dye mix, we incorporate the fragrances of Cuban cigars, vanilla beans, maple, and oak. For this demonstration, I had my wife, who is also an artisan, take care of the paint job so I could handle the camera for better viewing. It is often said that the Book of the Dead was written in blood. So, to stay true to its fictional origin, we had regular order of human blood from a local morgue to stay true to its fictional origin. Now, of course, I'm kidding, guys. The blood effect is made by combining different shades of acrylic paint. Don't get too serious now. Okay, in this process now, we're drying the pages. This normally takes the longest stage. It takes about roughly a day and a half to make sure that all the pages are dry. And the reason for that is because we just can't bound the book if the pages are wet. We always make sure that the pages are dry before we wrap the skin on the cover. Well, that's it for today's episode. Just want to remind you and warn you that there are a lot of pictures of our work that are spreading online and using those photos to scam people. Just remember, We don't sell our products on the internet other than Etsy and eBay. And we only do this as a hobby. We're not a company. I am just a person, an artist, making this as a hobby. And since you made it this far, I would like to invite you again for our next episode. Most likely next week I'll be able to upload another video. Check it out. I got Last of Us Zombie, which is the fungus phase zombie, merging in with Ash of Evil Dead. Let's see what we can come up with next time, alright? Subscribe and stay tuned, and I will see you again soon, guys. Stay groovy. Hail to everyone. Hail to the kings and queens. Hail to everybody. Just also like to remind everyone that I do have a website, evildeadbooks.com. This is just my private gallery. It doesn't contain anything for sale. These are just snippets of my work. It's still under construction, so stay tuned on that. Again, thank you for joining me today, and I will see you again. Thank you.